is going on, y'all? Welcome to the Mission Ready Men briefing right here on the SHR Media Network, where we are training up warriors, not mealy mouthed weaklings. Today's Tuesday, October 28th in the year of our Lord 2025. It is, wow, this year has gone by quick, hasn't it? Anyway, this is a show where Christian men can come to get equipped to stand firm, speak truth, and fight back against a culture that is trying to steal your faith, your family, and your freedom. Because this is, make no mistake, this is a spiritual battle, not just political. And the fight never takes a day off. This battle is always raging. And we're done pulling punches. We are done pulling punches. The gloves are off, and we are getting after it. So be sure to follow us at Mission Ready Men on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, or X if you prefer, TikTok, Getter, all the socials. And be sure to subscribe to our Rumble and YouTube channels as well. And if you want to let everyone know that you are in this fight, grab your gear at missionreadymen.com, click Shop 7 Armors, and check out all of the great gear that we have over there. All right, business is out of the way, so it's go time. It is go time. And the the irony is thick and palpable. We have the party that has been screaming fascist, Nazi, white supremacist, calling conservatives all of those names and more, have just full-throatedly, wholeheartedly endorsed an actual Nazi. it's it's amazing, actually. Graham Platner, Senate candidate up in Maine, veteran oyster farmer and working class champion of the left, is leading Maine's Democrat Senate primary by a ton, but on his chest, he has a skull and crossbones, a Totenkopf, and it is a Nazi SS insignia. And as I said, the left has been calling conservatives all kinds of Nazis and white supremacists forever. And now they have endorsed a guy with a Nazi tattoo. It's, how do you even respond to that? Because there's just so much there. Now, this guy Platner, he's like the poster boy for populism. He's a Marine Corps vet, blue collar worker, or at least he's styling himself as that. Up in Maine, I think oystermen are pretty well elite. That's the impression I got researching this topic. But make no mistake, he is a DSA, Democrat Socialist of America, socialist, in the same vein as AOC and Bernie Sanders and Mamdani, even though Mamdani is a self-proclaimed communist. I mean, he said it. He's espoused communist principles. But this guy Platner is running against Susan Collins, who is apparently too moderate too moderate for a party that is now drunk on socialism and communism. And he's raising a ton of money. And the leftist media, uh, they're paying lip service to the Nazi symbolism, but they're fawning all over this guy. They are fawning all over him and saying he's authentic. There's a difference between authentic and just being a lunatic and saying lunatic things. And that's what he's done. He but he is the, like I said, he's the poster child for these communists, and he says all the right things. He's fighting against the oligarchy, and here he is in his announcement, where he says exactly that. If it'll come up. And that's not what I want. There we go.
Enemy. And the enemy is the oligarchy. I grew up in rural Maine, and I did 4 tours in the infantry. And I am not afraid to name the enemy. And the enemy is the oligarchy.
And that's all he needed. That's all he needed to say to get the left all aboard his ridiculous Nazi train. But let's get into this tattoo thing, because it's been talked about for a while now, and I almost never really wanted to address it, but I was, as I was deciding whether or not I was going to talk about this, I came across something that made me say, okay, well, we gotta get into this now. And as I said, the Totenkopf is a SS symbol, the Nazi SS symbol. And he claims that he was overseas and with his Marine buddies and got it and didn't know what it meant. Just thought it was some skull and crossbones. And before I found out what I found out, okay, young Marine, ignorant of history, whatever, didn't know. But he found out. He found out, and he still kept it. And we're going to get into that in a second. But he has, some old Reddit posts have come up where he addresses the tattoo and is fully aware of what it means. And I was going to have the article that with the quotes and everything, but CNN now is behind a paywall, so you're just going to have to figure that out for yourself. I'm not paying CNN a dime, and they've made it so that some of the ways you can get around it are not working either. So there's that. But anyway, he knew exactly what this meant. If he didn't, if you give him the benefit of the doubt when he was overseas and got it, which I don't believe, but let's just say you do. He found out shortly thereafter. He found out shortly thereafter. And the fact that he has this tattoo, or had it, because he did cover it up, which we'll also get to here in a minute. The fact that he had it, the left has fully embraced it. Not just fully embraced it, but they're just shrugging it off. Just shrugging it off. Here's I think we have Bernie Sanders, a Bernie Sanders clip where he, like I said, just shrugs it off. It is utterly amazing. And Bernie Sanders is Jewish, and he has endorsed and has not rescinded the endorsement of this guy with a Nazi tattoo.
Maybe equivalent to the importance of Mr. Platner's tattoo. In terms of Mr. Platner, this is a guy.
Yeah, he's going to get into his background and all the excuses, but this is what I wanted you to hear.
Raising the minimum wage are the issues that are going to resonate.
Can I ask you about the tattoo? Do you think it's necessary that he gets it removed or covered up?
Look, once again, we are dealing with a collapsing healthcare system. As a result of Trump's policies, 50,000 Americans may die unnecessarily every year. And you were asking me about whether or not a guy should get a tattoo removed? Sorry.
He said he was going to remove it.
Just shrugged it off, completely shrugged it off. Just no big deal. Nazi tattoo, no big deal. This guy with the Nazi tattoo is leading. Some reports say he's leading by up to 30 points. The data that I've seen says he's leading by just under 30 points. So right around 30 points. So yeah, same thing. That's not a fluke. That's not an anomaly. That is the left fully embracing, a love affair with this guy. And this is the same party that has made an Islamo-communist a star in the party. They're just eating it up, absolutely eating it up. They have been labeling Trump and every Trump voter a fascist, a Nazi. And this guy is literally wearing a Nazi emblem. And it's just a youthful indiscretion. Imagine if any conservative had that tattoo. They would be, these people would be out of their minds. Absolutely out of their minds. And in fact, we don't even have to imagine whether or not they would lose their minds, because we have this. Remember this? It wasn't that long ago. It was not that long ago that Pete Hegseth and this tattoo was labeled a Nazi. Now, this tattoo has absolutely nothing to do with Nazi emblems, not even a little bit. It's a Jerusalem cross, which shortly before this, or right around the same time as this picture was making the rounds, Jimmy Carter had passed away, and that symbol was on the floor of the cathedral where he was being funeralized. Was Jimmy Carter a Nazi? I don't think so. And of course, but that none of that mattered to the left. None of that mattered to the left. But now we have this guy. And actually, I want to get a better picture because there's some things we need to talk about with some things we need to get into. Anyway, um, Graham Platner had that Nazi symbol on his chest, and he got it covered up. He got it covered. He got it covered up with a terrible cover up, that, by the way. But take a look at this. This is where the death's head symbol was, and he got it covered up with this terrible, terrible tattoo. And this actually has some significance, which we're going to get into. But take a look at this right here. This is underlined in this post. 1919. This looks like an axe. It's hard to see what this actual tattoo is, but 1919 is also heavily symbolic in Nazi Germany. S is the 19th letter of the alphabet, and the 1919 often is used in substitute for SS. And he had an SS tattoo. So there's that. But let's get into the cover-up. Because this cover-up is a Fenrir or Fenris tattoo. And when I was looking at this and looking at how terrible this cover-up was, I found out that Fenris is actually another white supremacist symbol. And don't take my word for it. Look it up yourself, but here is some of the evidence that I came across when looking at this. His new tattoo is a pagan symbol used by the Nazis and several neo-Nazi groups today. Fenrir is tattooed on far more Nazis than the Totenkopf. Wow. Wow. It's a symbol of one group called the Order of the Nine Angels, a Nazi Satanist group. Okay. And more evidence. Racist skinhead symbols and tattoos. Fenris wolf, pagan Odinist symbol tattoo. Okay, so between that and all of his old Reddit posts that were deleted, that and all of the pagan Nazi symbols, it's it's hard to imagine that this guy does not know exactly what he's doing and exactly what these things mean. And of course, you're never going to hear about it on the Communist News Network or MSLSD because they're fully on board. They're never going to publicize this. He knew exactly what he was doing. And this is not a one-off. This is not an anomaly. This is a trend. We mentioned Mamdani, an Islamo-communist. He is fully embraced in New York City. The polls are tightening in New York, but that means absolutely nothing. He's going to win. And so you have him, you have Platner, you have AOC and all the rest of these far left lunatics. This is not. This is not. This is not an anomaly. This is the Democrat Party. Scott Jennings has said numerous times, all of the energy in the Democrat Party is going to these Nazi communists, the far left base of the party. And now even Hakeem Jeffries, who was reluctant to endorse Mamdani, has endorsed them. And as we talked about, Bernie Sanders has endorsed Platner and it refuses to withdraw that endorsement. So the left, they will forgive Nazi symbols as long as it's one of their own who's wearing them. And if you hate capitalism, well then that's just a bonus. For years, they have been telling conservatives that we are Nazis, that we are dangers to democracy. But they have been normalizing extremism for a long time now. They're about to elect a jihadi sympathizer in New York City, where jihadists took down the Twin Towers and killed thousands of people. And they're going to elect the guy who pals around with the mastermind or an unindicted co-conspirator in the '93 World Trade Center bomb. Who's more of a danger to our democracy? Conservatives who want less government, or Islamists who want to kill us? I'll let you decide that. The left's virtue signaling on this is purely performative, and their anti-fascist lip service, it completely collapses the moment true fascism is shown to them and it has a blue check mark and a union card. And speaking of anti-fascism, I didn't even mention the fact that Platner actually trained an Antifa group. What was it called? Do I have it here? No, I don't. I don't have it. But it was the Socialist Rifle Association of Maine or something like that. And their symbol, their flag, was a rainbow flag with the Antifa emblem emblazoned on it. Called himself the Antifa super soldier. You can't make this stuff up. It's, wow. Just, anyway, let's see what we got going on here in the chat. Wow, the chat has been lively this morning. BZ, Democrats will back down from nothing. This should not be shocking. The true crux of the biscuit will be on Saturday. Will Democrats cave with Snap? Well, it's funny you should mention that. We are going to get into that here in a second. What happens when their free stuff loving base doesn't get their free stuff anymore? The threats are legion on social media, from physical violence to riots to just taking what they want from anyone. Yep, yep. It's amazing. It is absolutely amazing. The political standard is now never back down from anything. Yeah, they don't, and we can't either. Absolutely. Yes, he trained an Antifa group, and that is never mentioned. I haven't heard it mentioned even once, besides me now. Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's amazing. It is absolutely amazing that these people just refuse to to be honest brokers on this. It is utterly amazing. All right. Since you brought it up, BC, I do want to get into this shutdown madness, and and the fact that they're using this as leverage. They're using the impending loss of benefits for some people as leverage. The same people who screamed about democracy and protecting democracy and how we're a threat to democracy, those same people are now about to block food benefits for the poor. And I know that some people don't really deserve it, and I'm going to mention that later on. But SNAP and WIC have run out of money, and on November 1st, 40 million Americans, 7 million mothers and kids on WIC, will not get their benefits. Now, let me just say this. If you are able-bodied and spend your days sitting in front of a flat screen TV playing Nintendo and Xbox and all the rest of it, if that is your life and you're upset because you're about to lose your government benefits, quote unquote, benefits that people like you and I can't do this full time because I actually have to work. If you're about to lose your benefits and you could get out there and work, and in some cases they don't even require you to actually earn a paycheck. They just want you to volunteer somewhere, which I think is ridiculous, but those are some of the requirements now, so it is what it is. With an unemployment rate of just over, I think it's 4.1% right now, 4.2. If you're able-bodied and that's your day and you're mad because you might not get your check on November 1st, I have less than zero sympathy for you. Period. Get off your butt and go get a job. But now that we've gotten that cleared up, they the USDA has stated that they can't legally tap emergency funds for this shutdown. So we have states stepping in like Virginia, declaring emergencies and stuff like that. Meanwhile, the Democrats who put this block in place, who have voted 14 times, 13 or 14 times to block all this, they're still getting paid. They're still getting paid. Unbelievable. So Republicans passed a clean continuing resolution, which was a continuation of the spending bill that the Democrats had all voted for in the past, levels of spending that Republicans did not want, but they voted to keep the government open at that level anyway. Almost every Democrat voted against it. And then they're trying to blame Republicans, saying that Republicans have control of both houses and the executive branch. Completely forgetting to mention the fact that they need 60 votes in the Senate to end this. So they need 7, I think there's 53 Republicans, I think they need 7 Democrats. And almost every Democrat voted against it, except John Fetterman. Shocking, because he has been sounding reasonable of late since he recovered from his stroke. He still votes most of the time with the left, but in this case, he's sounding and voting reasonably. Catherine Cortez Masto out of Nevada, and Angus King, I believe he's out of Maine. All the other Democrats voted against it. And so there are at least 3 Democrats who actually care about the American people, and the rest just want to use pain as leverage. And they're still trying to blame Trump for this. And as long as they can, I guess it's okay. As long as they do it, because anyone with more than a couple of firing neurons knows and actually understands civics, knows that this is not Trump's fault and this is not the Republicans' fault. Well, in this particular instance, because the fact that we're in this mess and we're continually in this mess year after year, both sides are to blame for that. But anyway, speaking of Fetterman, let's call out his Democrat colleagues.
I mean, like I just said that, I just put that in my social, like 2 million Pennsylvanians depend on SNAP for to helping feed themselves and their family. 2 million. And now that's going to be suspended because our government is shut down. I can't ever vote for that kinds of mass food insecurity like that. And now I'm going to be a county, I'm a country over party guy. I'm always going to vote to pay our military over the party. I'm always going to vote to pay the Capitol Police here versus over the party. I mean, I'm always going to vote country over my party. And if I pay a price within my base, that's something I'm willing to do because.
Well, you're going to pay a price. They are going to primary you. And it will be interesting to see who they run against him, how far left they are, and whether or not he can win. Because they are all lining up against them for this and a few other reasons. And that's wild to me because he does vote the right way most of the time. But because I guess this is too high profile, they can't They just can't have that. But he doesn't want to use regular Americans as bargaining chips. And to his credit, I mean, that's great. That's great. In this case, credit where it's due. Credit where it's due. That said, he is in the minority in his party because the number 2 ranked Democrat in the House, Katherine Clark, she is not she's not on board. She does not agree with Mr. Fetterman, Senator Fetterman. Listen to what she had to say.
I mean, shutdowns are terrible. And of course, there will be, families that are going to suffer. We take that responsibility very seriously. But it is one of the few leveraged times we have. I mean, shutdowns are terrible.
Wow. The people's suffering is leverage. Your family's dinner is their bargaining chip, apparently. She said the quiet, I mean, their mask has been off for a long time, and they've been saying quiet parts out loud for a long time. But wow, that shocked even me. And she hasn't walked it back that I'm aware of. And nobody in her party has chastised her in any way for that, which means they agree. They absolutely agree. John Fetterman, despite all of his other flaws and all the other things that he supports, as I said, credit's due on this one. He gets it right. The people are what matter to him. And as far as Katherine Clark and the rest of the Democrats who are holding out, the people are just pawns. The people are leverage. Their suffering is leverage. That's evil. There's no other way to say it. That's just evil. Absolutely evil. Men, real men, mission-ready men, don't use pain as leverage. Don't value pain in politics. We lead and we fix what's broken. And there are very few men in the swamp right now. Very few. And not enough to overcome these swamp rats that are, as Katherine Clark said, using the people's pain as leverage. We're going to see what happens on November 1st. We're going to see if they actually believe this or if they cave prior to first. I don't think they're going to cave. I think they are ready to take this all the way, even past the elections. I really believe that. But we'll see. All right, let's get a word in from our sponsor. And people in chat, let me know how the audio is. I got a message that the audio is a little wonky, but let me know. I tried to make an adjustment. So let me know if it's still that way. Before we actually move on, let's take a look at some of these chats. Fetterman is a one-term candidate, and the Democrats will ensure that. Yeah, I think you're probably right. I think you're probably right, BZ. My audio is low. Okay. Well, we'll see if we can fix that. Give me a second here. But before we move on, though, I want to get a word in from our sponsor for today's show. And our sponsor for today's show is Patriot Mobile. Patriot Mobile is America's only Christian conservative wireless provider. And these days, though, with this environment, votes are just not enough. You need to make sure that your resources, that your dollars are going to companies that fight for what you believe in. That's why we switched to Patriot Mobile. They don't just talk about values, they back them up. A portion of every dollar that you spend with them goes to pro-life, pro-family, and pro-freedom organizations. So right now, you can get a free month of service when you go to patriotmobile.com and use promo code Jackson, or call 972-PATRIOT and use promo code Jackson. Defend freedom with every call, every text, every month. Switch to patriotmobile.com today, patriotmobile.com/Jackson. Visit them today. All right, so my audio is low. Let's see if we can remedy that. Maybe, maybe not. All right. How's that? Well, we're going to move on anyway. I am Big E, and you are watching or listening to the Mission Ready Men briefing right here on the SHR Media Network, where you can catch my good friend Sackhead Sean with The Edge of Liberty every Monday and Wednesday at 11 p.m. Eastern, 8 p.m. Pacific. The Reaver of Common Sense with Jersey Joe every Monday and Friday at 9 p.m. Pacific and 9 p.m. Eastern and 6 p.m. Pacific. And BZ with the Berserk Bobcat Saloon every Tuesday and Thursday at 11 p.m. Eastern and 8 p.m. Pacific. Please like and subscribe. I believe we are at 660 subscribers on YouTube. So thank you all very much for that. But like and subscribe to all those guys' channels and the SHR Media channel, because we want to have a huge breakthrough. It's the year is coming to a close, but we have had a great year in terms of growth on the channel. So I do want to thank you all very much for that. But we want to have an even bigger breakthrough going forward, because we want to reach as many people as we possibly can. All right. And now back to our regularly scheduled programming. BZ says that the saloon is open tonight. So that is awesome. All right, y'all. We are about to get into a topic that we have been getting into quite a bit, and that is Islam. Islam, as I said, is an evergreen topic on this show, and probably will be for the foreseeable future, especially as long as Mamdani is on the scene. And it doesn't look like he is going anywhere, unfortunately. But I want to mention this because an Egyptian sheikh has released a video. I'm not sure how old it is. I don't have the video, and I'm not going to play it because it's in Arabic, and it's in Arabic, and you're not going to understand it even with the subtitles. It's ridiculous. But the sheikh is this guy. His name is Mustafa Al-Adawi. And he made a statement, and we're going to get him off the screen. He made a statement that said, addressing President Trump, telling him to submit and all will go well for you. And I can't, the fact that these people, that so many people have embraced this idea that Islam is a religion of peace, and the people who are committing these acts of terror are extremists, is ridiculous on its face. And I blame George Bush II for that. After 9/11, he famously said that Islam is a religion of peace, and nothing could be further from the truth. I don't know if he was just ignorant of Islamic history or was just trying to, I have no idea. I have no idea what he was trying to do there. But Islam is built on conquest. Built on conquest. And the phrase "submit and all will go well for you," that's not random. That's not just a suggestion. That's a warning straight from the Quran. The phrase "submit and all will go well for you," actually not. It's not from the Quran. It's actually from a letter that Muhammad, who wrote the Quran, sent to. Well, he sent it to a number of people, but he sent it to the Byzantine Emperor Heraclius in 628 AD. And of course, they went to war because Heraclius refused. And it's just astounding that so many people are, excuse me, are either ignorant or just willfully ignoring history. There's a phrase in Arabic, "Aslam taslam," which literally means submit and be safe. And Aslam is Islam. The word Islam means submission. That's what it means. That's not a religion of peace. That is, as I have often said, a death cult. Islam has always been a call to convert or face war, convert or die. Imagine if Christian pamphlets, if Christian writings, teaching said, join us or die. That's not evangelism. That's extortion. And that's part of what Islam does. And so 628 AD, when Muhammad was telling all these people, submit and all will go well for you, that's the same ultimatum that this guy, this sheikh used. That's the same ultimatum that Osama bin Laden used, and all of these Islamic imams and leaders. That's their message. That is their message. Another one of Muhammad's phrasings was peace to whoever follows guidance. Osama bin Laden said that on numerous occasions. Islam means peace. It's just so ridiculous on its face. Islam means peace, and socialism means free stuff. Islam and peace are not synonyms at all in any way, shape, or form. Islam, the Arabic word for Islam and the Arabic word for peace, salam, have the same root word. But salam does mean peace. Islam, as I said, means submission. And in Islamic teaching, peace can only come after submission. That's it. Submit or die. And if people reject that ultimatum, war is not just justified in their minds, but it is mandated by their holy book. And they have Muhammad's behavior as he was writing this book. They have his behavior to look at. And so as far as they're concerned, that's eternal to them. That is what they are supposed to do. And when you look at it, when you look at the rhetoric that they use, all you have to do is look a little further into all of the, and you don't have to look that far, all of the bloodshed attributed to these so-called radical Islamic groups. Syria, Congo, Burkina Faso, Egypt, Sri Lanka, Nigeria. Different countries, different continents, same theology, same evil theology. They try to tell us that these Islamic groups that are committing these atrocities are fringe, that they're extremists. But there are a ton of so-called fringe groups that are committing these atrocities, so-called hijacking Islam. Really? They're not using different holy books. They're all following the Quran. All of them. So are they really fringe? Or are they just following the doctrine and teachings of Muhammad to the letter? It's not hijacked. This is the plan. This is what they are mandated to do. And the ones that don't, they're the fringe. Sheikh, whatever his name is, I can't remember. His message is submit and all will go well for you. That was Muhammad's ultimatum 1400 or so years ago. It hasn't changed in all this time. But we're supposed to believe that it's a misinterpretation of the Quran. Miss me with that. Absolutely miss me with that. Because that's not true. Islam means submission. And the West keeps submitting. The West keeps submitting through silence, censorship, cowardice, refusing to block all these Islamic centers and these Islamic cities like Epic City in Texas. They're cowards for not blocking this madness. And submit and all will go well. Well, I don't think the Brits over in the UK think everything is going swimmingly. They submitted, and we see how well that's going for them. Maybe it's not maybe. It is well past time to stop bowing to these lunatics, to these cultists. The time for tolerance is over. And speaking of the UK, there is a British Islamic commentator named Sami Hamdi who finds himself in the custody of ICE because he is a well-known proponent of terror and has praised the event of October 7th. This is not Edward R. Murrow. This is not Walter Cronkite getting muzzled by the state, which is what they would have us believe. They're saying that this is a violation of his free speech rights. He was in the United States on a visa. That is not a right. That is a privilege. And when you come into this country and start espousing extremist doctrine, when you start praising terrorism, against us and our allies, oh, you got to go. You got to go. A visa is an invitation, and that invitation can be revoked. And that's exactly what's happening to this guy. Sami Hamdi is a British Muslim commentator who has gotten some notoriety for praising really, the atrocities that Hamas committed on October 7th, and said that it's a natural consequence of oppression, and celebrated the victory that day over Israel. This is just a taste of this guy. He is abhorrent, and I'm glad that he is about to get kicked out.
Netanyahu did not envisage that for the first time since 1948, the Palestinians would actually retake land back from the Israelis. Netanyahu did not envisage that for the first time since 1948, the Palestinians would be able to hold those territories for more than 72 hours.
We are pitying a people who brought a huge victory since 1948. Don't pity them. They don't want your pity. Celebrate the victory. Allah has shown the world that no normalization can erase the Palestinian cause. When everybody thought it was finished, it's roaring. How many of you feel it in your hearts when you got the news that it happened? How many of you felt the euphoria? Allahu Akbar. How many of you felt it?
Wow. Just, I don't understand how he has been let into this country at all. And I am happy that he is about to get kicked out. He's still in custody right now. He hasn't been removed yet. Some people are saying it could take a while. I don't care. I don't care. But he came into the country to do some speaking engagements for CARE. And we all know CARE is a terrorist organization. We all know that. They will deny it. They do deny it. But he was doing some speaking engagements, scheduled to do some speaking engagements for them. They're calling him a journalist. They have a different definition of journalism over there in the UK, I guess, because he's a terrorist propagandist. That's what he is. He said that, I couldn't find the video where he actually said this, but he is quoted as saying that no one is saying October 7th is right. It was a natural consequence of oppression. Okay. This guy is a terror sympathizer, and he's got to go. CARE is actually calling it an abduction. And of course, the left is saying it's an attack on free speech. They think every security check against someone like this is Islamophobia. It's not a phobia to have some apprehension about people who want to behead you. Make no mistake, these people hate you and want to behead you, want to enslave you, and to have some level of anxiety about that, that's not phobia. That's prudence. It's good to be wary of people like that, Because if you're not, you could wind up losing your head. This guy is on video, as you just saw, praising the attack where Hamas killed, butchered thousands of Israelis, butchered families in their homes. And because reasons, because he's a Muslim and Muslims hate anyone who's not a Muslim, it's perfectly legitimate. It's perfectly legitimate to praise that. The United States has the absolute right to decide who comes into this country. You wouldn't believe that based on the 4 years of the Biden administration, but that's the truth. Every other nation in the world enforces this and enforces it with prejudice. There are some countries, if you overstay your visa, the next day they are coming for you. The next day. And they won't give you a chance to pack your stuff. If they catch you, you are placed in handcuffs and put on a plane and kicked out. But yet, if that happens in the United States, even with all the due process, we're still monsters for doing it. As I said, a visa is an invitation, and invitations can be revoked at any time. You invite someone into your home, they act a fool. What do? You kick them out. Sometimes they have to be kicked out with prejudice. Same principle applies. Same principle applies. All right. I want to move on from that. I want to talk about something a little lighter before we get you out of here. Something that I came across that I thought was on some level was kind of hilarious. There is a new baseball league about to start next year. It is the Women's Pro Baseball League. There will be 4 teams: New York, Boston, LA, and San Francisco, because, of course, the most progressive cities in the nation were where they decided to put these teams. They are very big sports markets. I will say that is the truth. But it's also not affiliated with Major League Baseball. When I first read about it, I wanted to find out if it was going to be subsidized the same way the WNBA is subsidized by the NBA, and it's not. It's an independent league, which means they are not going to make any money. Not that the WNBA makes money; they don't. They operate at millions of dollars of loss every year. But it's supposed to be a revival of the All-American Girls Professional Baseball League that was immortalized in the movie A League of Their Own. And what happened? They had this baseball league because all the men had gone off to war. They came back, and nobody wanted to watch women play baseball. Nobody wants to watch women play basketball. Very few people want to watch women play soccer. It's I give them credit for not riding on the coattails of Major League Baseball and having them subsidize it. Businesses should be able to rise or fall on their own merits. And if they succeed, great. Great. I'm all for it if they succeed. I won't watch, but I'll be happy for them if they succeed. I'm not I'm not betting on it. I would not bet that they last more than a few seasons, if that. But we'll see. And I was really interested, as I said, because you see what's happening with the WNBA. You see what's happening, how the NBA has been footing that bill for 30 years. I believe 30 years. It loses tens of millions of dollars every year. And they insist that it's thriving because visibility or something. The Women's Professional Baseball League, as I said, I don't see it succeeding. The only good thing I can really say about it is at least they're not a welfare league like the WNBA. And that's not to say that I give the Major League Baseball any credit, because they are subsidizing a softball league. The AUSL, Athletes Unlimited Softball League, is being subsidized by Major League Baseball. Not to the same extent that the WNBA and the NBA are entwined. MLB apparently only owns a 20% stake, but they are going to be handling the marketing and broadcasting the games on their network. And their reasoning for not backing the professional baseball league, Women's Professional Baseball League, is that there's already a softball infrastructure, and they already have stadiums, they already have players, blah blah blah, and they do have a number of fans who actually show up to the game. So we'll see. We'll see. I'm not, as I said, no, businesses should rise and fall on their own merits. And if the AUSL can rise and buy out MLB and actually succeed on its own, fantastic. Again, fantastic. The Women's Professional Baseball League, AUSL, if they succeed on their own without being subsidized by men, fantastic. Love it. Love to see it. I'm just not so convinced that it can actually work. And there is a chance that if they're woke enough, if MLB is woke enough, and they see the women's professional league failing, that they'll step in, a la NBA, and subsidize it and continue to pay for it. If nobody goes to see these games, what is the point? Why do they continue to flush money down the toilet like that? I don't know. It's it's going to be interesting to see. It's going to be very interesting to see. If the talent is there and the business acumen is there for the WPBL, as I said, great. That maybe could be a winning formula. But then again, how many people are actually asking for a women's pro baseball league? I get softball. Softball's been around a long time. I've even watched some college World Series softball games. Okay, fine. Softball, I get. Who is asking for a women's professional baseball league? I don't know. I don't know. B says men's baseball is boring enough. Watching women, oof. Well, I don't know that I completely agree with that. I do like watching baseball. I'd like to playing it better, but yeah, there's that. If they actually earn their success, if they actually produce a good product that people actually want to see, fantastic. We'll just have to see. All right, we got a little bit of time left, and I was going to talk about the narco boats getting blown up, but I don't really have time to get into that, and I don't really want to right now anyway. There were a couple of things I saw on on Twitchy that I want to get into, because Twitchy is a source of some major amusement for me. I love seeing leftists get completely torched by their ridiculousness. And this one, I could not believe when I saw this. MSNBC's Nicole Wallace and J.B. Pritzker claim that Democrats have never implied that Trump is Hitler. Really? Is this like some sort of ridiculous Mandela effect that they're trying to pull on us? Because I distinctly remember several occasions when many people have referred to President Trump as Hitler. In fact, Libs of TikTok right here has the receipts. Check it out.
I haven't suggested that Donald Trump is Hitler. The dangers that we saw in Nazi Germany are the dangers that we need to react to now. Well, I think everybody understands that at this point we've got an authoritarian in office. It doesn't take very long to tear apart a constitutional republic. Indeed, the Nazis did it in 53 days. That's not the country we live in. You shouldn't have to walk around with papers the way that they did in the early days of Nazi Germany.
You mean like what they were proposing that we do during COVID? Just a thought.
I do not invoke the specter of Nazis lightly. I'm watching with a foreboding dread what is happening in our country right now. A president who watches a plane go down in the Potomac and suggests without facts or findings that a diversity hire is responsible for the crash. The authoritarian playbook is laid bare here.
How can you possibly compare what happened in Germany in World War II to what's going on here in the United States?
Well, we're talking about the death of a constitutional republic. That's what happened in Germany in 1933, 1934.
So he never suggested that President Trump was Hitler, ever. What were we just watching? The great Tom Elliott from Grabian had this And this is amazing.
I haven't suggested that Donald Trump is Hitler. I wouldn't say
I don't
that
think any Democrat has. I actually, and I think it's a smear that they project back on to critics.
What is the natural extension, Justin, if he pursues this to Harvard and beyond?
There was an authoritarian leader several decades back called Adolf Hitler. Hitler came to power and the scientists left.
The military survive in that climate.
In the same way that it happened in Russia with Stalin, the same way it happened with Hitler, eventually you get generals and admirals that are in there that only tell the leader what he or she wants to hear.
To the extent that the rule of law and an assault on the rule of law was an obscure, intangible thing, we're now seeing it in action.
If you look back in history, you can see very similar parallels that took place in other countries that really went down that authoritarian road, including in pre-World War II Nazi Germany, when Hitler and Nazi officials basically took over Frankfurt University, which was the bastion of independent thought and progressive thinking. And
I remember watching that John Brennan clip, and he mentioned the Frankfurt School, which is the people who started that came over here and basically laid the blueprint for our public education, and that's why our kids these days are being indoctrinated with all kinds of leftist nonsense. Nicole Wallace actually said that nobody has called President Trump Hitler. When that clip that I just played went on for another minute and a half, and Harry sissy girl pants. Let's see what he has to say.
I don't think anybody in this debate can name me a high-ranking elected Democrat who has called Donald Trump Hitler.
I don't even know what to call him. I've called him so many things, but this wannabe Hitler for sure.
But no, nobody's ever called him Hitler. No, never. So these people just lie as easily as they breathe. It's amazing. Let's see what else we got going on Twitchy. I had a couple of other ones, but no, you know what? Let's take a look at that one too, because that one's another one and this one goes along with the theme of today. And J.D. Vance blasts Mehdi Hasan, claiming to be the real victim of Charlie Kirk's assassination. Just like Mamdani claimed that his aunt was a real victim of 9/11 because she got some dirty looks for wearing a hijab, which nobody can verify, by the way. Every picture that we find of Mamdani's aunt, she's not wearing a hijab. So he lied. Of course he lied. Is anyone surprised that he lied? So Charlie Kirk, in his inimitable way, said, "It's not Islamophobia to notice that a man who wants to globalize the Intifada is about to run America's largest and once greatest city. It's not Islamophobia to notice that Muslims want to import values into the West that seek to destabilize our civilization. It's cultural suicide to stay silent." Absolutely right. And Mehdi Hasan says that this is a reminder of what a racist bigot Kirk was and how much hate he incited against minorities. No. The only people who think that what he said here is hateful are the people who are uncomfortable in their wish to globalize the Intifada, as he says. The only people who think it's hateful are the Muslims who do want to destabilize our civilization and take it over and conquer it. J.D. Vance responds, according to Mehdi Hasan, the real victim of hatred was not the guy murdered by a left-wing lunatic, but people like Mehdi for facing criticism of their views. And he goes on, he replied to his own tweet, Charlie Kirk was killed by a left-wing radical, but I'm the real victim because Charlie Kirk was mean to me. Oh man, I can't stand Mehdi Hassan. I hope he ends up getting his visa revoked too, because he is just the absolute worst. Absolute worst. Just as bad as Sami Hamdi, who they are getting ready to deport. But anyway, folks, that is all I got for you this time. I will keep trying to make each show better than the last. If any of what I said hit home for you, please take a second to like and subscribe and share with everyone that you know. We're not just here to run our mouths. We're here to spread the gospel of Jesus Christ and carry the banner of faith, freedom, and hope for future generations. And if you want some cool gear, head over to missionreadymen.com, hit Shop 7 Armors, and check out all of our great designs over there about bold faith, true grit, and unapologetic patriotism. And as always, when seconds count, the police are only minutes away, but the Lord is right there with you. So keep your prayers going up and your head on a swivel. God bless.